And what do you use the computer for?
The most exciting thing I find is the mailbox.
So now we are with Ryan X. Charles, the CEO of MoneyButton, and previously still with yours.org.
Correct, yes.
How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good, thanks. So we're in Toronto in the Coingeek Scaling Conference. Mm-hmm. You released a new project.
It's called Paymail.
So can you please talk to us about it?
Yeah, so basically we built MoneyButton, and we noticed that in order to solve some of the problems that we were trying to solve, that we needed an identity system. There needed to be some way basically for users to have some kind of human readable name that allowed us to somehow attach that to a public key and other things. And we ended up basically running through tons of different ways to solve this problem, and ended up going to the wallet workshop group that was put together by InChain, and collaborated with a bunch of other companies, InChain, Electrum SV, hancash, Centbee, and some other companies, and basically figured out how to do this with email addresses. The reason why to make an email address into your identity is because, first of all, people are already doing it that way. Like it or not, people use Gmail as an identity system. You log into other services that way. If you forget your password in one service, you always use your primary email account as your backup anyway. The reality is people are using that as their primary identity system. And it turns out that this has all of the technical properties that we need to actually solve identity for Bitcoin. So, basically what we did is we take an email address and we extend it and use things like DNS, use things like HTTPS endpoints, and use cryptography, plug all these things together. It's sort of half on-chain and half off-chain. We're able to attach your email address to keys and services and basically everything that we can imagine related to identity. We can solve every single one of those problems with this system. So that's why I say things like it's kind of a joke, but I'm also really being serious when I say it this way. Microsoft recently announced an identity system. It's completely different. Ours is way better. We actually solved every single problem. And we're just like a few people. And at MoneyButton, we're the first company to actually fully implement everything. And we're releasing everything under the Open BSV license, which means basically it's completely free for anyone to use on BSV. So we've already implemented all this stuff. Because we're at the conference, we basically decided not to actually launch it while we're here. So wait until tomorrow, and we will launch it. So yeah, all it is the way to think about it is, it's just your email address, but we're adding support for Bitcoin. We're enabling your email address to just do all of these other things that are related to identity. And just so that you understand what I'm saying, this involves things like signing a contract with other people, okay? Instead of having paper, instead of having like a mishmash of millions of different tools, imagine all it is you create a contract the same way you would write a document, and then you sign it by swiping MoneyButton. And what you do is, in the contract, you say, I want a counterparty whose name is jimmy@inchain.com to sign it. And so I just type in Jimmy's name. It shows up on Jimmy's screen. Does Jimmy want to sign it? If so, Jimmy swipes. Problem solved. We just signed a contract, and it's a legally enforceable contract. Okay? And the contract is actually encrypted in such a way that Jimmy and I can see it, and if we want our lawyers to be able to see it as well, then they can see it, and it's on-chain. And there's a permanent, immutable record of what that contract was that we just agreed to. And it's not just that, it's everything else. It's every other type of contract, and it's any time that you ever need to use an identity system. I can do things like send an encrypted message to somebody else, to their email address.
I can customize my email.
Finally, for the first time ever, we're going to be able to have real, user-friendly, encrypted, secure email. Because email is such an old protocol that it's not actually encrypted. It's actually like insecure. And this is a way to take the same address that you have and just basically install it in Bitcoin. And now we can leverage all of these other features. And I can send encrypted emails to people in a way that all it is like the user just suddenly there's a green checkbox that says this is encrypted because they support Paymail. So we can do encrypted email. We can do things like any type of advanced smart contract on Bitcoin. We can collaborate in multi-sig wallets. We can do things with oracles. We can share keys and things like that. So just to give you some more examples, what if I want to do something like I write an article and I want someone to edit it and I want someone to distribute it? and everybody gets paid a different percentage. Same thing. It's using the same underlying technology. I write the article, very similar to a contract, and I specify what the license agreement is. There's an editor, I type in the editor's Paymail. There's a distributor, I type in the Paymail thing. I sign it, I swipe money button. It publishes it to the blockchain or whatever it is. If everybody else agrees, it could be something different, like if it needs to go through the editing process. Maybe the editor hasn't been decided yet. Maybe I create a market for that. The editor comes in, they say, I want to edit your document. I say, I like your work, I want you to be editor, swipe, I sign something, I agree that they're the editor, they edit it, they give me the work, we all agree to everything, sign it, bring a distributor on board and so on. Now what ends up happening is you publish the article and people can buy the article. Now the terms of the contract are automatically enforced. So when someone buys it, everyone gets paid immediately according to what the terms of the contract are. And again, these are legally enforceable automatic smart contracts. Okay, I mean this is like the holy grail of everything in the economy. Okay, this is how everything is going to work in the future. You're not going to be dealing with paper contracts and this ridiculous stuff anymore. Again, this mishmash of tools of all these different things, taking this here and putting it there and all that stuff. You're just going to have this stuff on your screen, you're going to swipe money button, and that's it. We get rid of all of these weird other problems. So that's what it's all about. It's a genuinely complete solution to identity at a protocol level. Now, we haven't actually implemented everything I just said. What we've implemented is the base protocol so that we can now go on and extend it. It's extensible, and we can add support for these things, and we can add support for lots of other things too. So it is a completely general solution to identity.
Ryan, yesterday I overheard a conversation. I was next to you, and there was something about a hospital. Are you free to talk about that?
I mean, that's just speculation, but I'll just give you an example. I mean, just imagine hypothetically, you have a hospital, and your expertise, your specialty, is in being a hospital. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? Well, it means things like caring for people and figuring out what the problem is and solving that problem. What hospitals are not experts in is IT security. Hospitals don't actually want to be a custodian of the data for their patients. Mm-hmm. So when someone gets a scan of their brain, I mean, I can't imagine a more sensitive document about that person. You know, I mean, everything about you that's in the hospital is the most sensitive information about you. Well, that needs to be secure. And the thing is, it's really complicated because sometimes hospitals need to share that data with other hospitals. There's a really big problem there. How do you do that in a secure way where the patient needs to really own their data properly? They need to be able to authorize stuff, but they're not an expert either. We need to somehow solve all these different problems. The same exact technology solves all these problems. I mean, it's just this. All it really is having an identity, being able to sign stuff. You have control because you have the keys at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So that's what it's all about. I mean, we can solve the hospital's problem. We can solve DRM. We can solve all of these things. We can solve. I mean, you start looking around at all these businesses on the internet, and we can start doing everything they're doing better, seamlessly, more user-friendly, cheaper. I mean, we're going to be able to replace just about every company you're familiar with. I shouldn't say replace. They can adopt it. Mm-hmm. But the way it works now is just going to get better, and they're going to use this technology.
Perfect. And so I guess it's a way to have a database, right? The hospitals have a database with the patients.
Well, the database would now be on-chain encrypted.
Exactly.
The database is the blockchain. And this is why you have to understand that holistically, we need giant blocks. The only way all this stuff works is with extremely large blocks. It's going to be at least petabyte-sized blocks ultimately, and probably a lot larger. So the people that want it to leave it at 1 megabyte is just, they don't understand how to solve these problems. And they don't realize that what they have done by capping it at 1 megabyte is to prevent any of these types of solutions from actually happening. You have to have very large blocks. And the way that's going to happen is with competition. Okay, you have to empower people to create businesses to solve problems. The original protocol for Bitcoin solved that problem. It's just a protocol for engaging economically with other people that anyone can participate in. It is an equal access system. It's not about having equal money. It's about everyone can access the same system. Everyone is in the same economy.
It's the easiest way to keep up with old friends.
Everyone I know is on it.
So we're all using the same identity protocol and the same money and all that type of thing. And underneath, it's all the same. You know, it's basically just giant blocks and Bitcoin transactions, and all of it's in there, and we can solve every single one of these problems.
Awesome. Are you going to be in Bogota?
I am going to be in Bogota. Yes, that's the plan.
Okay, so if any of you want to see Ryan in Colombia, he's going to be there in Bogota next month, in the middle of the month.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, great.
It's been a
Thank you very
pleasure.
much. Yes.